And welcome to another ranking special by the Football History Boys. Today we're going to be looking closer at the European Championships from 1992 all the way to 2020. We've chosen those specific tournaments because those are the last 8 and we did the last 8 for the World Cup. So without further ado, we're going to get started. Now we're using Tier Maker to do this, and to do it we've got 5 different tiers. We've got Out of This World, Excellent, Good, Average and Poor. And we're going to be looking closer at the Euro 92 tournament in Sweden, Euro 96 in England, Euro 2000 in Netherlands and Belgium, Euro 2004 in Portugal, Euro 2008 in Austria and Switzerland, Euro 2012 in Ukraine and Poland, Euro 2016 in France, and Euro 2020, which was everywhere. So, without further ado, let's get started. Before we do though, any thoughts before we get started?
Firstly, well remembered for all the
Cheers.
hosts there. I think the Euros for us have been something that we've loved. We've talked about some, and we'll talk about some in ones that are stuck in our mind. But I think the Euros are always so good because they were smaller tournaments often. Certainly in our lifetimes, 16-team tournaments, and so you've got massive matches really early on. And so quality-wise, I think sometimes they could be better than a World Cup. So it'd be quite nice to reminisce on some of these, I think.
And if you've got your own ideas, please let us know. Or leave a link to the rankings tier list in the description below. So please click on that, send it to us to our Twitter or on Instagram, or just let us know in the comments here. So let's get started. The first tournament, Euro 1992, played in Sweden. Just 8 teams in this tournament.
Yeah.
It was the end of a few things. It was the final one with the back pass rule, which we saw in abundance in the final when Denmark shockingly beat Germany, a unified Germany. Denmark is the whole story here, really. Why are they so important?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because actually Denmark didn't qualify for this tournament. They came second in their qualifying group. Group 4 of qualifying. They came second to Yugoslavia. Earlier in the year, Yugoslavia war starts, and so they are removed from the tournament. The place is given to Denmark, so Denmark didn't actually qualify for this 8-team tournament. Like you said, it's significant. It's the first one Germany plays a unified country. Obviously, he had been incredibly successful as West Germany, and now they're back with East Germany. So politically, it's big. There's a shifting in attitudes across European football. Really, we see the end of hooliganism. So I think it's a really important tournament for those who remember it. It's a little bit too far back for us, 1993, but we know the history and the significance of it.
Yeah, and England, of course, they go out quite early.
Yeah.
Sweden, the host, Thomas Brolin, scores those amazing goals, doesn't he?
Yeah.
To knock England out. Van Basten misses his penalty. He's World Player of the Year. Schmeichel saves it. Schmeichel comes probably the best keeper in the world after that for a time.
This is his notoriety, isn't it?
But I think what's so important about this tournament is that it taught everyone watching that the underdog can still prevail in football, and even though 1992, we know it now as that massive turning point in football history. Yeah. The Premier League, the Champions League coming that year, and almost the start of modern football, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it thankfully let us all know that the underdog can still come out victorious.
Quality-wise, I don't think people were thrilled by it because of the back pass. And if you ever watch any footage of it, it is ridiculous when you watch it how easy it is to relieve pressure. You put into pressure, you pass it back to Schmeichel can pick it up for Denmark.
Yeah.
And it made things probably pretty dull. I mean, fans were used to it at the time, of course, because it was the last one with the back pass rule. It had been a thing. But when we watch it back now, compare it to other tournaments, you go, what is this? This is crazy.
And another word on Denmark is they actually won it without their star man. Michael Laudrup didn't come to the tournament. He had a falling out with the manager. Didn't bother, but Brian, his brother, was one of the stars of the tournament. Yeah. Now, where are we ranking this then?
This is a difficult one, isn't it? Because historically, it was big. We didn't watch it. Historically, it was important, but quality-wise, it wasn't great. So I think it probably brings it down a little bit. But
what are you thinking?
Historically, it was important. I'd put it towards the lower, maybe average. But
I think, I would say good purely because Denmark won it. I think the fact they won it is so shocking. It's like, wow.
Okay.
And they didn't even qualify. It's a great story. So it's going to go into good. Sorry.
That's okay.
I've gone for good. Right, moving on. Euro 96. This will split opinion.
Yes.
We've obviously grown up in Britain. We've heard a lot about Euro 96.
Yeah,
we were only 3 at the time. It was, Football's Coming Home. That was a song that was played.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers, Gaza. He almost scored in the semi-final.
Yeah.
Southgate's penalty miss. It has this amazing nostalgic feel. in the UK. However, looking closer at the tournaments, it's not great.
No.
What are you thinking?
So again, yeah, the historical importance is massive because actually it shows that England can host something.
Yeah.
England have been kicked out of European football in the 80s with the Heysel disaster.
Yeah.
Banned from European competition, chastised across Europe, and so the fact that they're given the honour of hosting it and it hosted successfully was really significant.
Yeah.
For a lot of people watching here who remember it, it was probably one of their favourite ever tournaments because football came home, at least whilst it was played here, and the whole atmosphere of people getting caught up in it. So I think they'll remember it kindly. However, when you look back on it, not one of the best football tournaments.
I think, interestingly, it's one of the first tournaments where golden goal was introduced on a major scale, and it completely ruined the knockout stages because everyone was so scared of losing. It had the opposite effect to what it wanted to do. And you look at all the knockouts, it's 0-0s, 0-0s, a couple of 1-0s. It's not very good, really. Obviously, the semi-final England-Germany is a great game, and it has the penalty shootout and Moller and a celebration, and the final with Bierhoff's golden goal winner. But elsewhere, I don't think it's great. What are we thinking?
So probably again it's the average category. I think a lot of people would say good because of how they enjoyed it, but I think as a tournament,
I think a lot of English people will say out as well.
Yeah,
but I think it's average to poor.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's good as well because England didn't win it, and we'd still be hearing about it if they did. So
that's
I'm happy
true.
with that.
Right. I'm going to go. Should we put it to average then?
Yeah, let's put it.
We'll be kind. That's kind, I think. Yeah. Right, let's go to Euro 2000. Now, we put this on our Twitter yesterday. It had an overwhelming support for Euro 2000. Fans saying it was the ultimate, one of the best tournaments ever. Now, this is probably the one I first remember watching like properly as a child. I remember England, obviously, we watched them a lot. The England-Germany game, they get the revenge and Shearer scores his header. They go out then to Romania because of Phil Neville's last-minute foul. Portugal come through with their golden generation start to come in, Figo. And I just loved Holland in this tournament. I remember them beating Yugoslavia 6-1. And it was probably the first time I'd ever seen a football match where one team had just battered another team.
Yeah.
I'd never really seen it before. I'd always seen a few Premier League games. And then I was just watching it and saw, Overmars, Davids, the Boa twins, all of them just all playing amazing.
That must have been
incredible, yeah. Winning 6-1, and it blew my mind. And then, of course, they go out to Italy after another penalty shootout. And then the final is one of the most famous finals of all time for the last-minute equaliser by Viltord, and then Trezeguet's golden goal winner to break Italian hearts after they came so close to winning it. And France, that French team has got to be one of the best of all time.
And on the back of the World Cup as well.
Exactly.
2 years previous.
What are you thinking then?
Well, we had a conversation beforehand about this. I don't remember it. My football consciousness begins in 2001. It was really strange. I remember lots of the FA Cup final of that year, the UEFA Cup final, which Liverpool 5-4, England, Germany. There's big games that I remember from 2001. Yeah. I don't remember anything from 2000, so I'm happy to default to you here for it. I think it must have got me into football because I started watching football that season.
After the result.
Yeah, but I don't remember anything specific, so I'm happy to default here.
I like that phrase, your footballing consciousness.
Yeah.
Let us know when your footballing consciousness began in the comments below. Right, I'm going to put this in Out of This World, so I feel like if we don't, we'll get a lot of...
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, right, so that's going to go Out of This World, Year 2000. Okie doke. Year 2004. Great tournament again.
Good tournament.
So what's important here is from Euro 96 up all the way till Euro 2016, they're a 16-team tournament, aren't they? So they've grown. Why people like the Euros as opposed to the World Cup at times was because they were so, the quality-wise was really high.
Good groups.
It was groups of death all the time, wasn't it?
4 groups of 4.
Euro 2004, painful one for us as Welsh because we came so close to qualifying.
Yeah.
It was a dodgy Russian header.
That was horrific.
Knocking us out. Heartbreak. One of the first heartbreaks we probably experienced in football.
As a 10-year-old.
But the tournament was really good.
Yes, and this is something we discovered on the back of the rankings of the World Cup. Most people's favourite tournament is when they're about 10.
Yeah,
it's
true.
And we've sort of identified that in comments. There was a tweet that you responded to on our Twitter about someone saying 2010 was the best ever tournament as a World Cup, and we were like, no, it's not. But for them, they were about 10 then. And so it does follow, it does track through. And so we were, 10, 11. I remember going on my week away with school that you do in year 6 just before high school. Yeah. And we all sat down and watched England-Portugal and seeing them get eliminated. A lot of people were supporting England in that one as well. It was quite a funny one, quite a funny elimination.
Beckham penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Over the bar, yeah.
I think for me, it was a good tournament because of that age group of being there. And obviously Greece win it. And I think we forget the significance of that because at the time, I didn't really know who Greece were that much. I was 10 years old, 11 years old. Nowadays, it's like like Denmark winning it, but it's also like Leicester winning the Premier League. Something like this shouldn't happen.
It is, yeah.
It would be like Euro 2016 where Iceland had that run, and had Iceland gone on and won it. Or Wales.
Along that, and obviously Greece played that side of play, but it was I remember seeing that Greece winning, and you knew, even as an 11-year-old, you were witnessing football history here. You thought this probably won't happen again.
Yeah. And you remember the names from that side as well. They're long Greek names. You remember them.
Yeah, Nikopoulos, Giannakopoulos. Really good players. Karagounis. I think Greece, they all came together, didn't they? They beat Portugal in the opening game. Yeah. They beat Portugal in the final. There was some fantastic games there. That England-Portugal game was brilliant. Yeah. What are we thinking then?
I think it's higher up. It's definitely not. It's near. It's not out of this world.
No,
it's higher than good for me. Maybe
excellent.
It could be an excellent.
I go excellent.
And I think it's like we said, football consciousness and when you're remembering those games and things like that. But it was a good tournament.
Yeah, Rooney and stuff as well, wasn't it? Okay, right. Let's move on then. Euro 2008. Now this might be. We've got an article on our website written by Alfie Wilson, and it's called. This was asking the question: is this the forgotten tournament? And we were talking about it earlier. We said maybe it is.
I think it is.
Our British bias again would say no British teams qualified, so we weren't maybe as told much about it in TV and things. Yeah. However, watching clips back, we've written about it in our book. There's some fantastic games here. Yeah. I vividly remember the Turkish run to the semi-finals, them coming back against Czech Republic and knocking them out in the last minute. That's a good point. Czech Republic in year 2004 as well. I mean, what a team that was! I love that team. So good. So gutted they went out. Nedved, Barros, and so on. Yeah. But year 2008, Turkey, and I also remember the quarterfinals against Croatia. Croatia scored in the 119th minute, and they thought they'd won it. Bilic being on the pitch. And then a minute later, the ball went at the other end and Turkey scored and Turkey won on penalties. Yeah. And it was a fantastic tournament. However, I don't really remember much more than that.
No, I don't. And I wonder whether it is because England weren't there and we're Welshmen, we were supporting Wales at that time. But you are caught up in the magazines, the TV adverts, everything like that. People getting hyped for it. England weren't there. And so, of course, it was all over the TV. But maybe it wasn't something that you talked about in school as much. Yeah. We were sort of 15. Maybe we were busy. Not watching football every single minute of the day, and so I think for me it's probably in the good category rather than anything.
Spain, of course, though, was the start of their dominance, isn't it? Luis Aragonés.
I was taken in by him.
Torres, Villa, Iniesta, Xavi.
The start of tiki taka.
When tiki taka was fun, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. Before it came to its death almost in terms of boringness.
What were you going to say?
It was exciting. I think it's good. I think tiki taka pushes it up for me because I was really taken in by that Spanish side. Yeah.
You think good? I probably would have said average, but do you want to say good?
You can put in average. That's all right because there's going to be a couple more good ones to come. So let's take
average. Okay, right. Euro 2012, Ukraine and Poland.
Love this one.
I remember this with Balotelli.
I remember this with Balotelli.
The celebration, shirts off, he's flexing.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
This is a good tournament, I think.
Yes,
I think another underrated tournament, though, I think 2008, 2012, or almost forgotten a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe because the 2010 World Cup's in the middle and that wasn't very good. Go on then, you start us off on this one.
I loved it. I loved this tournament. I love Balotelli. As you know, we were in university at the time. Balotelli does his Why It Was Me celebration for Manchester City this season before this.
Of course,
days later at our lecture with a Why It Was Me top. I loved Balotelli. He was brilliant and a good laugh, and I supported Italy in that tournament. Obviously, I wasn't supporting England. They knocked them out.
Yeah, penalties. Panenka as well, wasn't it? Yeah,
amazing penalty. And so I cheered them on, and they did really well. And that game against Germany in the semi-finals was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then obviously Spain in the final, completing the trilogy really of
destroy them.
Euros, World Cup, Euros, extending their dominance. Yes, by that point maybe people were getting a little bit bored of Spain.
But then the final, they were getting bored of Spain and the football. But then the final, they just turned on this like tiki-taka extreme, and they just were so good to watch. 4-0. That Jordi Alba goal, wasn't it, in the final, when he just runs the pitch and gets it back. Oh, unreal. Yeah, like I say, I think the tournament might be a bit underrated. What are you thinking then?
I put it at least in good for me. At least in good.
Good.
I really loved this tournament. I did personally.
Let's put an excellent then for you.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
It's going into excellent.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Right. Let's move on to Euro 2016. This is going to have a huge Football History Boys bias. Let's just put that out there right now. It's going to be an out of this world, whatever happens at the end.
Put it there now.
Everyone else probably say poor or average, because if you're a fan of a big country, France, Germany, Spain, England, you'll all say, it's not that good because we didn't do that well. However, being Welsh, and Gareth is modelling one of our famous Welsh football shirts here, we love this tournament. It's our first tournament we qualified for so long.
Since 1958, really, although there was the 70s, of course, but
arguable,
officially 58.
And this, I've never been so into football as I probably was in this tournament. Obviously, we might as well talk about it first, but Wales, obviously, their run to semi-finals. Beating Slovakia and Russia, and then beating one of the best Belgian sides of all time in the quarterfinals as well, knocking them out.
Hal Robson-Kanu
scoring
from a Cruyff turn.
Better
than Johan Cruyff. Bettered by Johan
best goal of all time, perhaps. Obviously, that endless memories for us. But what we need to think about as well is what else happened in the tournament.
First tournament with 24 teams. And that was a worry that people had. We've expanded the tournament. Will this lower the quality? And I think it probably did. Because you could come third in your group and get away with it. You could get through into the knockout stages.
Portugal, who win it, they
drew every game.
They didn't win a single game until in 90 minutes until they beat Wales in the semi-finals. Even the final they didn't win in 90 minutes. You are right. And the quality dropped. But it didn't just... I mean, what you would notice is the smaller nations, Wales, Iceland, Northern Ireland, Albania, Hungary, they all upped their game massively. And it was the big teams who dropped. I think it was more that way. I don't think it was the fact that the big teams all dropped and the little teams weren't as good. I think they just upped their game massively.
It was their chance. They hadn't been there. So many sides, like Iceland, and we were taken up in the Iceland story as well as everyone was. But for me, the thunderclap. As a Cardiff City fan, the captain of Iceland, the captain of Cardiff City, Aaron Gunnarsson, was there. I completed the sticker book as did you. I think for that tournament.
I came close.
I was swept up in it. Aaron Gunnarsson was there, and Wales were there, and it was amazing. Iceland knocked out England, and again, there's an element of bias there.
Endless memories.
But I do remember it in a pub. Everyone going crazy like Wales had won because Iceland won, and that was brilliant. But also England had gone out, and there's the element of bias there. But it was brilliant at the time, and Wales, despite losing to England, which was incredibly painful, gave us so many memories. Fan parks, watching in school. Watching as we were teaching, watching loads of different scenarios, different people, everyone getting swept up in it. People who didn't love football, loving football for that summer. And I think it was such a good tournament in that way as a fan.
Stadium's good. France, excellent.
People were able to jump across. My brother did. My brother got tickets really late, just before the Russia game.
Good location.
Because it's not far at all.
Yeah,
I think it's a good tournament. I understand people will criticise it.
I'm just going to get through for this one. Right.
You need the bucket hat.
Right, let's rate this tournament then. I think if we were talking, unbiased, we probably put it into average good.
Good.
But we are biased, and it's going to go into out of this world. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I wish Portugal didn't win it. I wish Ronaldo didn't win it because I don't particularly like him. But even their story, like you said, was interesting. The fact that they didn't win a game until Wales, and that they then win the final with Adair in extra time. So a bit of an unknown. Ronaldo goes off after about 12 minutes, wasn't it? All the midges and the gnats.
Oh, the moths, yeah.
So it's a great tournament with great stories, and it was the best summer of my life.
Shaqiri bicycle kick. Yeah, fab. Right, let's move on then. Last tournament is Euro 2020/2021. 2021.
Yes. COVID affected.
All over Europe. It was the anniversary, 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
COVID affected, so very little fans. Some of the stadiums with barely any. Some of the stadiums with more. A lot of it played at Wembley.
Yeah.
All the bigger nations had all home games. Some matches played out as far as Baku in Azerbaijan, even though they didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Wales do qualify for this, which is great. They don't do as well. They get to the last 16 though, so they still surpass expectations. Get smashed by Denmark.
Who had rallied after the horrible collapse
Of course,
Christian Eriksen.
Christian Eriksen's
So that was
collapse
really,
on the
really
pitch.
stark, and obviously that's a really memorable moment, a horrible, tragic moment, but
Huge.
memorable.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously left a bit of a scar in memory for a lot of fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously England gets the final and they lose to Italy. It's come in Rome. A good final, to be fair, because there was loads of fans in the stadium. There were some really standout games. I remember the France-Switzerland game of 3-3 when it has that fan who's like he's like crying, and then the next minute his shirt's off and he's like screaming.
Yeah.
The Spain-Croatia game, I think it was 5-3. So there was some really big scoring, really good games. Yeah. I mean, it just lacked something. It didn't feel like a tournament.
No, it did. I don't like the fact that it was spread all across Europe. I think it's nice having a host that gets into it. Think about one of our favourites, Brazil, when we talked about that, and the nation was swept up in the World Cup.
Yeah.
France in 2016 getting swept up as a country and feeling the culture of the country that you're in.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think what I'm going to find now is with future World Cups, that's what's going to happen. It's going to lose it. I mean,
crazy.
USA, Canada, Mexico, you probably could just about... there's enough cultural ties there to keep it together. But future World Cups from that moment on, all of 2030 is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like to say, I think it's just lacking something that country, that cohesion.
And I know England had a run, and they came so close. And I thought they were going to win the tournament. I thought they would end the hurt, and they didn't. And some would say thankfully, others would be devastated. But I don't even think England fans would actually say it was brilliant, because the football wasn't always that gripping.
To be honest, it just felt like a bunch of Nations League games going on in different places.
Yeah.
What are we thinking then?
I would drop it down. Possibly even poor, if you want to be kind, because England fans will remember fondly the run, maybe an average, but
let's put it in poor, because we haven't put anything in poor yet.
Fine.
No, average, purely because if you didn't put 2010 World Cup in poor, we can't put this in poor.
That's fair enough. And it was still
average.
Hey, it was still a tournament. Everyone gets into a tournament when they come around as well.
Okay, before we go, are you happy with the selections?
I think so, yeah. I think, for me, 2016's got to be in that top tier. I think in terms of actual top tier, it probably is Euro 2000. And then the rest of them, they're all memorable. They are memorable tournaments. 2012, for me, like I said, was a brilliant one. And 2020 was less memorable. I think we got it right there.
Do you know what we're going to get now? Because I noticed in the last video we had a spike right at the end, so fans skipping to the end. They're going to fast forward. So year 2016 out in the world, be livid and turn it off. So please go back and watch that bit, and we'll explain why we chose it. Okay, 3 average, 1 good, 2 excellent, 2 out of this world.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Great.
Right, thank you so much for watching us retell the stories of the European Championships from 1992 all the way to 2020. We've really enjoyed it. We're hoping to do even more of these, so please let us know what you'd like us to rank, and we'll get them out to you as well. The link to the tier maker is in the description below, so please get hold of that. There's also a few more links there to our website and our Twitter as well, so please click on them. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.